Joshua, and this is your Sunday devotion. What's up, everyone? So what I want you to do right now, think of the last movie that you saw. This could be like in the movie theaters before COVID happened, or even if you rented out one or something like that, or if you just sat at home. Just the last movie you saw, because if you don't know this about me, I am an absolute movie buff. Like, there is nothing better than just sitting down and watching one of my favorite movies. Like, for me, Avengers Endgame. And all that Marvel stuff is like some of my favorite, where you have all of this conflict of the heroes versus the villains, and it's awesome. It's just like so cool to see all that on the big screen. But the thing is, these movies all have some sort of conflict, whether it be between good versus evil, or just the main characters getting a fight of some kind, but they all have a conflict. And that's what we're gonna be talking about today, because in real life, not just the movies, we have conflict. We have it with our family members, we have it with our friends. It's just always there, whether we like it or not. I personally hate it, but it just happens. So we're gonna see how to deal with all that. What do we do? What does the Bible say? And how do we deal with that ourselves today? Well, let's take a look back at our friend James, the guy that we've been talking about the past couple weeks. And he has some really good insight on this. For example, in James chapter 4, verses 1 through 3, he says, "What is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from the evil desires at war within you? You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of what others have, but you can't get it. So you fight and wage war to take it away from them. Yet you don't have what you want because you don't ask for it. And even when you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You want only what will give you pleasure." So let's just break this down, because this might seem like a lot of harsh wording here, but let's break down what James is observing about conflict in general. Well, the first thing is, people fight. Like we said, conflict is just always there, whether we like it or not, but people get in fights. I know when I was younger, me and my sister would get in these arguments all the time because we are total opposites when it comes to personality. We love each other very much, but we would fight all the time, and it was insane. It would just drive my parents crazy, but it would just happen. And you see, the thing is, those conflicts between me and her, or any conflicts that you have right now, they happen because we haven't loved others like we love ourselves. We put ourselves, ahead of everyone in those moments. And that's why a lot of those happen. That's why a lot of people fight. The second thing is, selfishness and jealousy cause conflict. Now look, we can all be selfish sometimes. I'm extremely guilty of it when it comes to being the first in line for the buffet or something like that, or if I'm with my friends and I get that first slice of pizza because, I love to eat. It just happens. We can all put ourselves above others a lot. And that selfishness and either jealousy too, whether it's wanting something that we don't have or just being jealous of a person for talents or something like that, that's what causes conflict. It just happens. The third thing is, we scheme to get what we want. Now, I'm not talking like we're just making these evil plans or anything like that, or Dr. Doofenshmirtz and Perry the Platypus, how he always has those evil schemes that just always blow up in his face on Phineas and Ferb. But again, we put ourselves above others. We take our own motives to get what we want, and we try to use that and scheme it to get what we want out of a situation. Like for me, a lot of the time when I was in a group for a group project, I would always want to be in charge. That's because I felt like I needed to do it my way, regardless if my way was the right way or not. But I would set it up to where I would kind of lobby, essentially, for myself and just show, I'm the better leader, but I really wasn't in that moment. And then finally, our motives are often selfish. So we put others first, but the thing is, a lot of the time we are trying to be selfish and gain what we want out of those. All those things come together just to show that when we are in conflict, the root of it a lot of the time is selfishness and just wanting what we want for ourselves. And you see, James is describing me-centered thinking in all this. But that's not what Jesus meant when he said, love God and love others as yourselves. What he truly wanted was for us to put people above ourselves, to put others first and not just us. Now, we might say a lot of the time that we're free to do whatever we want, which in a way, that's true. We're free to be selfish. We're free to speak badly about others or just be judgmental or cruel or arrogant, anything like that. We're technically free to do all those things, but they come with a lot of consequences. A lot of people get hurt when you speak badly about them, if you just talk trash behind their back. So just imagine what those consequences are when we truly live in a selfish way, when we don't put others above ourselves. So then what's the alternative? What does Jesus say about loving others and just the alternative to me-centered thinking? Well, in the Bible, it talks about this in John chapter 15, verses 12 through 13. He says, "This is my commandment. Love each other in the same way I have loved you. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for friends." And then the second time he talks about it is in 1 John chapter 3, verse 16. He says, "We know what real love is because Jesus gave up his life for us. So we also ought to give up our lives for our brothers and sisters." Now, this is a very big, grand gesture to, lay your life down for someone, but he's not saying, that we have to do that all the time. When you have a specific moment where you could just talk badly about someone, where you could just talk trash and maybe spread a rumor, Jesus is really saying, don't elevate yourself by spreading that rumor. Elevate the other person by not spreading the rumor. Elevate the other person by loving them and not speaking hate or bad things or anything like that into their life. So what I want you to do is think about this. If we really want to be free, if we want to be truly free, like we've been talking about these past couple weeks, and be free people under God, we have to learn that true freedom is found when you love others and love God first, not yourself. So that means we have to give up a lot of, our freedoms for others. We've been seeing that a lot right now with people saying wearing masks, or people wearing masks right now to protect others, to put others above yourself. That's one of the examples that we have. Just loving others to make sure everyone else in our community is safe. While we've been following all these guidelines. When we start to put others first, we discover a more fulfilling life. Our relationships deepen. Our relationship with God becomes so close. We grow in kindness and patience, forgiveness, compassion, and grace. We start to grow in incredible new ways, and that's when the love of God is just flowing through us in those moments, when we put others above ourselves. So the last thing I want you to think about is this. When was a time someone put you above themselves? I know for me, whenever my friends stuck up for me when I was the butt of the joke a lot, in any case of bullying or anything like that, or just check to see how my day was and show that they loved me and put me first, it made a world of difference. It made me feel like I was loved. And I'm sure in that moment when you were lifted up, you felt that same way. So think about that, because you can make someone feel that good. You can make someone feel that loved in that moment, because here's the thing that we want you to remember from all of this. God never stops loving you. Regardless if we don't put others first, if we are selfish, when we try not to be, there's nothing that we could do that separates us from God's love for us. But if we really want to be free and really want to live into being free people, then that means we have to put others first. That means we have to give up our own freedoms for others. We'll see you next time.